It's official. We are planning a trip to China this year, and I want to share some of the planning process with you to inspire you to make traveling the world part of your holistic wellness journey. Planning a trip to China takes intention, organization, and the right support. And today I'm walking you through how we planned our 2026 journey across China from Beijing to Shanghai, covering history, nature, modern cities, and one unforgettable river cruise. This video focuses on where we're going, transportation logistics, and what U.S. travelers need to know when planning a trip like this. We were initially planning to go to Japan, and then that idea grew into including China and South Korea, but I just could not get the logistics and price to make sense. However, my research on China really got me hype about going to China one day. The more I thought about it, the trip to Japan really wasn't in my heart. And I thought, why spend thousands of dollars on a trip you're not really excited about? For that matter, why do people spend decades and their life's income living a life they're not excited about? It's difficult to admit, but most of us were conditioned from childhood to go with the flow, to just suck it up and not disrupt what's working for other people. My situation was I didn't want to disappoint my son, who loves all things Japanese. So it took months before I could be honest enough to say, I'm not enthusiastic about this trip to Japan. I want to go to China instead. I felt so much better when I canceled our trip to Japan and began to research travel agencies in China. When I handed my son our itinerary for touring China, he said it read like an epic novel. We have both been smiling from ear to ear ever since. If you know you're prone to settling for less than what your heart and values crave, do yourselves a favor and scan the QR code on the screen. I really believe our daily lives should read like an epic novel, and I'd love to help you exceed your wildest expectations. For this trip, we chose a China based travel agency. The tour package we chose includes the following: private vehicles and English speaking tour guides in every city. All transportation once we land in China is covered and facilitated by the travel agency. The only transportation not included is getting to dinner and transportation to locations not booked in advance, which I'll cover later. It also includes hotel accommodations, breakfast and lunch for most dates, diverse and epic excursions, a mix of high-speed trains, flights, river cruises, and private transfers in between. The cities we're visiting include Beijing, Xi'an, Guilin, Yangshuo, Chongqing, Yichang, Shanghai. We fly into Beijing Capital International Airport where our private guide and driver will meet us. Beijing is where ancient imperial China meets modern global power, and it's the perfect starting point for our journey. So we're visiting a lot of different sites in Beijing. I've actually increased my cardio burn in preparation for hiking the Great Wall of China, and it is indeed a hike. So I begin to think about where one might pee and what bathrooms are like in China. Well, we will need to potty before we ascend the Great Wall. All main sections have substantial toilet facilities near the ticket office and parking lots. And that's what you need to take. If you need a potty, do it before you start your ascent. Bathrooms in China commonly feature squat toilets, especially in public areas, tourist spots, and older buildings. Though Western style toilets are available in hotels, malls, and modern high end or upgraded locations. Public toilets are usually free and require carrying personal toilet paper, and hand sanitizer, as these are really provided. So, in addition to the Great Wall in Beijing, we will be visiting Sacred Way, Beijing Olympic Village, Tiananmen Square, Forbidden City, Jingshan Park, Summer Palace, Temple of Heaven, and Beijing Wutongs. From Beijing, we take a high-speed train to Xi'an, one of the most efficient and comfortable ways to travel in China. Usually, we are solely concerned about luggage weight restrictions at airport, which is 50 pounds in the US. But high-speed trains in China have a luggage weight limit of 20 kilograms, which is 44 pounds, which means I'll be packing not to exceed that 44-pound limit. Xi'an is an ancient capital and home to one of the world's most famous archaeological discoveries. This city connects us directly to China's imperial past and the Silk Road era. We'll visit terracotta warriors and horses, Datisan Sa Temple, Great Wild Goose Pagoda, and Grand Tang Dynasty Everbright City. We fly from Xi'an to Guilin, transitioning from history to natural beauty. As a quick travel tip, if you decide to travel to China, be sure to avoid the major holidays listed on the screen. From Guilin, we cruise 4 hours along the Lijiang River to Yangshuo, surrounded by limestone karst mountains. After our stay in Yangshuo, we returned to Guilin using the same cruise route, enjoying the scenery from a new perspective. So, our highlights in Guilin include Elephant Trunk Hill, Reed Flute Cave. Yangshuo highlights include the Lijiang River, Yulong River, and ancient West Street. Next, we board another high-speed train to Chongqing, a dramatic mountainous megacity on Yangtze River. In Chongqing, we board the Victoria Isabella, a 4-day Yangtze River cruise. The Victoria Isabella represents the latest in high-end, environmentally conscious cruising on the Yangtze River, catering to international travelers with modern technology and comfort. This portion of the trip allows us to slow down and experience China from the river, one of its most historic lifelines. As you can see from this map of the cruise route, China is more than just Beijing and Shanghai. There's so much to see and do. Some places we will behold from the ship and just sail through. At other points of interest, we'll stop for excursions. Let's quickly look at points of interest along the way. Mount Shuanggui, Chutang Gorge, Wu Gorge, Xinyu Stream, and Three Gorge Dam. After disembarking in Yichang, we visit Yingling Square and Sanyo Cave. Afterwards, we fly from Yichang to Shanghai, China's most cosmopolitan city. Shanghai blends colonial history, modern skyscrapers, and local neighborhoods. The places we'll visit include Yo Gardens, Yuyuan Bazaar, Shanghai Tower, Wukong Road, Sinan Road, Nanjing Road, and the Bund. Our journey in China will end here, but the memories will certainly last forever. If what I've shared so far sounds like an epic journey to you, let me know in the comments. Taking the cruise at the end of the trip to China will give us a chance to catch our breath for a few days and wind things down before our flight back to the US. So let's talk about some helpful tips for US citizens traveling to China. Traveling to China is incredibly rewarding, but it does require advanced planning and a different mindset than traveling in Europe or other parts of Asia. Here are the most important things US travelers should know. Visa requirements. If you're a US citizen who wants to visit China as a tourist, and your return flight is back to the US, you need a visa for general travel to China, but you can apply for a 10-year multi entry visa, which is what I plan to apply for. Once you hear about the application process, you might want a visa to cover you for the maximum amount of time allowable. General requirements for tourist visa L: a passport, which needs to be valid for at least 6 months with two blank pages. A photo, a recent passport size photo uploaded online. You don't have to do this, but we went to Walgreens to get an electronic passport photo to be sure it would meet China's specific requirements. You'll also need an application form completed online, then printed and signed. You'll need proof of residency, driver's license, utility bill, or bank statement showing your address in the US. So you need a visa application statement, which is a signed declaration form. If you go to the website of the Embassy of the People's Republic of China in the United States of America, you will find information about visa type L issued to those who intend to go to China for tourism. If you look at the general documents section B, you will see it lists all the documents I mentioned. Now look at the basic documents section A, which has an NA. It states starting from January the 1st, 2024, the Chinese Embassy and Consulate General in the United States simplified application process required for tourist visa L. So tourist visa applicants within the United States will no longer be required to submit round trip air ticket booking records, proof of hotel reservations, itinerary, or invitation letter. The application, which you will complete using the China Online Visa System, also known as the new COVA system, may not ask for a copy of your itinerary, but it appears to me that the application requires you to transcribe that information into the COVA system, which for me will be a laborious task. I'd much rather upload an itinerary than just to have to transcribe it. The same is true regarding an invitation letter, which for me pertains to information about the travel agency and travel agent we are working with. Also, there are questions and documentation requested on the application to provide proof of sufficient funds for the entire trip. So, key financial documentation could include bank statements. Most consulates require personal bank statements covering 3 to 6 months to demonstrate consistent financial stability. They just want to be sure you can get out the country. You have money to leave the country. So, minimum balance, while often not a strictly published number, applicants may need to show enough funds to cover roughly $100 per day of stay. Support for family. If traveling as a family, one person can provide financial proof for all, but the balance must cover the total required amount for all applicants. Proof of income. Pay slips or a letter from an employer may be requested to confirm employment status. Company guarantee. If a company is sponsoring the trip, a letter indicating they will bear all costs if required. Depending on your situation, will depend on the financial documentation that you will need to provide. You cannot apply for a visa more than 90 days before your trip. So the date that you actually would enter to China, processing times vary. So apply as soon as the 90-day window opens. You can save a draft of your application for up to 30 days. I expect the process to feel a bit daunting. I mean, who likes filling out forms, really. So I'm going to give myself at least a week to do just a little bit each day. As a certified public accountant and former certified fraud examiner, I understand why all of this information and documentation are being requested. I'm not looking forward to the paperwork, but it is what it is. The visa fee for US citizens is typically $140 for standard processing, payable upon collection. Standard processing generally takes around 4 business days. Now let's discuss the Great Firewall of China. Many apps and websites commonly used in the US do not work in China, including Google, Instagram, Facebook, WhatsApp, YouTube, etc. To stay connected, we're using Holofly eSIM for mobile data access without needing a physical SIM card. This allows us to access emails, use essential apps, and stay connected without relying on hotel Wi-Fi. So the key tip here is to set up your eSIM and download the app before arriving in China. We'll be using WeChat for messaging and calling. WeChat is the primary communication app used in China. We are using WeChat for free messaging, voice and video calling, communicating with our tour company, local guides, and the driver. So, WhatsApp and other messaging apps may not work reliably. Many Chinese businesses and guides communicate exclusively through WeChat. WeChat functions as the default communication platform in China. Tip for US travelers, download and set up WeChat before leaving the US. Make sure notifications are enabled so you don't miss messaging from your guide. English is not widely spoken in China, especially outside major tourist hotels. Even simple tasks like ordering food and asking for directions can be challenging without assistance. That's why we chose English speaking tour guides in every city. Private tour guides will be with us every step of the way from the time we are picked up from wherever until we arrive at our place of lodging in the evening. This helps with clear communication, cultural context and history, navigating large sites efficiently, and avoiding misunderstandings. We also have private drivers for all sightseeing and for pickups from and to airport, high-speed train, and cruise terminals. China is vast, but transportation is extremely efficient. So the tip here for US travelers is that high-speed trains are clean, fast, and comfortable. Airports and train stations are large. Having a guide helps tremendously. Luggage handling is smoother when coordinated by a tour company. So in China, cash is not king. China is largely a cashless society. We plan to use Alipay and Chinese currency. Apps like Alipay are used for restaurants, shops, attractions, transportation, convenience stores, and so forth. So the important tip here is to link your US credit card to Alipay before arriving in China. Set up and test the app as well in advance. And also note that many places do not accept cash or international credit cards. Additionally, be sure to link a credit card that does not charge a foreign transaction fee. A foreign transaction fee is a percentage-based fee on all purchases made in foreign currencies, whether abroad or online. For credit cards that charge foreign transaction fees, the cost is generally 1 to 3% of the purchase. When using a foreign credit or debit card linked to Alipay in China, a 3% service fee is applied to individual transactions that exceed 200 yuan. Transactions of 200 yuan or less are generally free of this surcharge. This fee is added automatically by Alipay to the transaction amount. To avoid this fee, my son and I will pay for transactions separately. Our tour includes transportation for sightseeing, but not for dinner, except for the Yangtze River cruise. To get around independently, we'll use Didi, which is China's version of Uber. Why Didi is essential is that there's no need to speak Chinese. Addresses can be entered digitally. Is integrated with Alipay, and it's safe and reliable. Again, download and set up this app before traveling to China. So, why we chose a China based tour company? China travel can feel overwhelming. So, we chose a company based in China that handles all logistics inside the country, provides vetted guides and drivers, coordinates transportation between cities. We paid a 30% refundable deposit to secure our itinerary, and full payment is due 30 days before departure. This approach removes stress and allows us to focus on the experience rather than the logistics. So, as a final thought, China is not a wing it destination, but with proper planning, the right apps, and reliable guide, and a clear understanding of how things work, it becomes an unforgettable and deeply enriching experience. Most of the anxiety I have about this trip has to do with the visa process, so I might do a follow-up video after our visas are issued. If that's something you would be interested in, let me know in the comments, along with whatever else you might want to know about in a follow-up video. Some information I don't plan to release until after I take the trip, but I wanted to share enough to improve your planning process and, of course, to inspire you to broaden your horizons by traveling the world and experiencing different cultures. Until next time, be bold, be great, and be inspired. I'll talk to you soon. Bye for now. Thank you for joining me to watch another episode of Danielle Inspires. If you have not done so already, be sure to like this video, subscribe to my channel, hit the alert button to be aware of new content as soon as it is released, and share this video with those you love. See you next time.